I probably should have brought some sort of weapon in case that wasp comes back, but I I haven't seen him, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. I don't care either way. It's kind of funny watching me battle him. But so today I want to talk to y'all about fear and how we're all living with a, you know, I got to be careful what I say in the first minute, man. YouTube is so annoying in that way, but we're all living under a constant threat, basically, multiple threats. And it's so insidious and they're so slick about it that most people don't even notice it. They're born in it, they live in it, they don't even know it. But they think, oh, I got mental illness issues. I need to take some medication. No, here's the thing. They've got you living under the threat of poverty or violence or both. So if you don't spend your entire life doing some menial job that means absolutely nothing, means nothing, it's a waste of time. The only reason you're doing it is so you can get your little stipend to pay your bills. Because if you don't do it, if you don't do this pointless, menial, boring thing, they're going to take everything away from you. And that's freedom. That's not freedom. But, it's, they got it so locked down that it really drives me nuts. And here's the thing, the only reason I see it for what it is because I realized I was living in fear. And I also realized that, like, well, I'm just not the type to live in fear. If someone's threatening me in any way, shape, or form, I'm not gonna. It doesn't. What it does is it makes me angry, and it makes me, I'll do everything I can to avoid violence. That's just in my nature. I don't want to be a violent person. But if someone's threatening me with physical harm, I'm gonna make them do it, and not make them do it, but I'm gonna call that. Like, I'm not gonna just sit here being afraid. I'd much rather we just get to it. Um, so this is, and I wasn't really like that my whole life. You know, I only became that way once I started actually thinking about it. So when I really kind of crossed that threshold was, I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again real quick. So when I was homeless in New York City, I was staying at an internet cafe, and there was some thug that just got out of jail. I almost got into it with him, not on accident. I didn't mean it. But he thought I had a lot of money. I sensed, now this dude had no skills, no intelligence, no nothing. His only way to make money was to do hits for people where someone would pay him to knock someone out or beat someone up or rob people or panhandle. And no one can live that way for long. They can't just be violent all the time. It ain't gonna work out for you. Sooner or later, you're gonna either go to jail. It's a lot. It's a high pressure. You think there's these super thugs out there who are just, violence is nothing to them and this and that. Eventually, it's gonna wear on them. I don't care who they are or how tough they are. Anyways, so this this dude, even though he was a violent person, I don't think he wanted to live that way every day for his whole life. So I think he was doing a lot of panhandling. Anyways, I think he was planning on robbing me. Now, there was a part of me that was afraid and wanted to go start staying at some other internet cafe, but I was thinking to myself, and then what if some thug shows up there and you're afraid of him? You're just gonna run away from everything that scares you? And I said, no, I'm not doing that. This is where I'm staying. This is the cheapest internet cafe. I can barely afford to stay here. This is how broke I was back then. And I said to myself, I'm not getting ran out of here. If this dude wants to, you know, it, if he wants to try me, I'm not going to make it easy for him. You know what I mean? So whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If I die, I don't care. What's not going to happen is I'm not going to live in fear of this person who I've never done anything to. I'm not going to avoid him. I'm not going to be scared of him. And what comes is going to come. And so I think he even sensed that like shift in my attitude. But anyways, what ended up happening was I can tell you one thing. I was ready. Once I made that realization, I was ready for any type of whatever he wanted to do. What if he wanted to? It didn't matter to me. I didn't care if it was gonna if I was gonna die at the end of this. I didn't care. I was fed up with you know. I just wasn't gonna be afraid of this motherfucker. I didn't care. He probably would beat me in a fight, but I had. I've got other things to my advantage. I'm a very slick person, and I think fast, and I make shit happen. And so I'll just put it to you this way: I was ready for him, whether he had a weapon or not. I was ready for him at 24/7. I was ready for him. And then what ended up happening, and let me tell you another thing about these people who rob people and shit. They don't want to deal with someone who's ready for them. They don't want to deal with someone who's gonna put up a fight. Even it's not like I even had that much to defend, but what little I had, I wasn't gonna let this motherfucker take it. I worked my whole life and I had very little, and some bum motherfucker who just came out of jail thinks he's gonna just take it from me. No, that ain't happening, you know? And so, at first I was afraid. Once I made that realization, I was like, whatever. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and I'm gonna do my best to make it bad for him. And I was you know, was I scared? Yeah, but I was more angry than scared. So what ended up happening was he did something stupid. I don't even know what, but I heard he ended up getting arrested and going back to jail, which is what I think he wanted anyway. He couldn't make it out on the street. If you're not, you know, those type of people, they don't go far on the street. They make a bunch of enemies. And it just it never ends well for them. They either end up in jail or they end up completely ostracized. You know what I'm saying? There's parts in New York where there's people just banned from the whole area because they thought they were indestructible. They thought nobody can fuck with them, but they learned that enough rats band together will kill a dog. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's literally true, but I can tell you one thing: a bunch of homeless, you know, you think they're harmless, but you get enough of them together, they'll take anyone. They'll wait till you're sleeping, they'll get you. So these people who just go around thinking they're going to be super violent, it don't work in the long run. But um, so from that point forward, and really I had been building up to this. So when I was younger, I was living a life I really couldn't stand. I was doing everything I could to just live like a normal person. And the only thing, my parents, in their wisdom, took us out of New York and moved us to Florida. And so, the work situation in Florida is not like New York. Had I gotten out of high school in New York, I probably would have just went straight to the fire department. My father was a New York City fireman. So, um, when I didn't graduate high school in Florida. I dropped out. But when I was done with high school, I wanted to just take some time and chill. I was thinking in the future I'll probably go to fire school and be a fireman or whatever. That's just what I was thinking my whole life. I'm just gonna end up being a fireman. I had to be at least what my father was or surpass him. That's how I felt growing up. So I was just planning on being a fireman. Anyways, I'm putzing around with telemarketing, which I can't stand. I absolutely hate. Talk about hate doing it. And once I got completely disgusted with that, I started doing construction, which I was happy with until eventually I realized these people are all just using you up. They're going to use you up till your back is as crooked as a question mark, and they're going to leave you for dead on Social Security, barely getting by. I was like, I'm not, you know, once I started really thinking about the future of the, the life I was living. Oh, and I also tried to go to fire school in Florida, and there you got to take algebra classes and all this shit. I was never good at math. I'm like, this ain't for me. I can't. I'm not going to college to be a fireman. In New York, when they open up the hiring, you just go and go to fire school. That's how it is now. And then you either graduate and become a fireman or you don't. Um, when my father did it when he was younger, all he had to do was he went to the firehouse, asked for a job, They told him to run up to the roof with a fire hose on his back and run back down. I think he had to do it, like a minute and a half or something, and he did it and he was hired. So, um, I started realizing that I'm living this life I don't want to live because I'm afraid of being homeless. So it just started. I got this itch in me where I just wanted to deal with that fear so I didn't have to live with it. Now, here's the thing. There's nothing worse than living in fear. Nothing. People live in fear. What they don't realize is whatever they're afraid of is better than living in the fear of it. If you just, you can't just live your life afraid of something. You're better off confronting it. And let me tell you something. On the other side of that is a life without fear. So I'm not saying that everyone should just go be homeless. What I am saying is don't be afraid of it. Because if it does happen, God forbid, if it happens, you are going to, at some point, make your way through it. And you are going to be a stronger, wiser, better, tougher person afterwards. So, whatever it is that you're afraid of, just accept in your mind that could happen. And you know what? If it does happen, I'm not going to let it break me. It's up to you what breaks you and what doesn't. It's a decision. Everything is a decision. So my attitude towards it was just absolute stoicism. I was going to deal with whatever happened. I was going to take no charity. I ended up taking some charity at the real bad times, and then eventually, when I was making a lot of money on the street, I would accept charity from people just so they could feel like they were given something. I would take whatever they were given to me and I'd give it to another homeless person because once I was making good money on the street doing the portraits, I rejected all charity. And I realized the people would feel like they would feel a little sad when I wouldn't take it. But I was thinking to myself, I don't need it. I don't want it. I got better shit myself. I got the money to eat what I want. But I was thinking to myself, but I do know someone who could use that. So next time when they offer it, I'm going to take it. They're going to feel good for giving. And I'm going to give it to someone who needs it because I knew a lot of people on the street who needed a whole lot of things. So, um, anyways, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So, my whole point in this video is don't be afraid. And let me tell you another thing. There's nothing to be afraid of. Whatever it is you're afraid of. This is why in Buddhism they say don't love anything too much. Because if you love something too much and you're afraid to lose it, it can throw you right out of character and make you do things that you would not normally do. So if you're with a girl that you really want and you're afraid to lose her, stop stop thinking that way and think to yourself, I don't want to lose her, but if I do lose her, it's not going to destroy me. It's going to hurt. What someone asked me recently, advice for a breakup. What I do when I'm hurt and I was rejected by a chick or whatever, it motivates me. I take that pain and I transform it with alchemy into energy. And so if I'm hurt and upset, I'll be doing more push-ups and crunches and leg lifts. I work out more. And when I look in the mirror, I look stronger and I feel better. And so that's how I deal with it when I'm hurt. If a chick rejects me, if I'm, you know, um, if I feel rejected or whatever, the only way to really win in that is work out, get yourself in immaculate shape, succeed in whatever it is you're trying to succeed in. Use that use that pain and you can transform it. You literally can transform it into energy. That pain is energy. You can't sleep, you can't eat. Work out, work out all day if that's what you got to do. One time I had to pass a drug test for a job. I did 500 push-ups and 500 crunches every day for a week. Now, I couldn't maintain that every week, but let me tell you something. By the end of that week, I looked like an Olympic bodybuilder or something. Not a I wasn't bulked up, but I was so cut and so ripped, and I looked so good, and I felt so strong. I felt like I could lift a person up over my head and sling them over a fence. That's how strong I felt. So if if you work out like that, and believe heartbreak can be very painful, and to get over that, if you're doing working out like that, I'm telling you, you're gonna turn into a beast, bro. You're gonna be like superhuman. So Whatever happens, you can't get control for the most part, in my opinion, is an illusion. What's going to happen is going to happen. Of course, we can control some things. I look at it like rowing down a river. You got to go with the current. And sometimes that current's going to take you through some fucked up shit, but it's up to you to handle it properly. Now, people who have these explosive bouts of rage, what it all comes down to is they're trying to control things that they cannot control. I know because I used to have these little fits of rage and stuff, and it's come in handy at times because, you know, I've almost gotten into fights with people who were probably under normal circumstances probably would have ran right through me, but I had so much emotion running through me and I was so angry at the time that and it's not like I was barking and yelling, and they could see it in my eyes that they're about to fight someone who's going to come at them with the viciousness of a wild animal. I was that upset and that angry. So, anger can be useful, but it's also, you know, it's it. What I realized is when I would get all angry with people, what I'm trying to do is make them do things so that they won't have to deal with my wrath. That was what my anger, and I learned it just instinctively from my father. My father would get angry, and everyone would just do what he says because they didn't want him to get angry. You know what I mean? So, you know, and other people have other methods. They use this sadness, and they become like this helpless puppy. Like, oh, it's a control mechanism. They're trying to get you to give them what they want by acting like they're just this helpless little puppy, and they use your pity just like the people with the anger use your fear. It's control. Now, when you see people flipping out over things and there's no people involved, really what they're doing is they're trying to coerce the universe into cooperating with them. This is self-pity. People sit there with self-pity thinking that God or the universe or some invisible force is going to look at them and be like, "Oh man, I feel bad. Let me drop $1 million on his head," or, "Oh, this guy's angry. Let me make everything work out for him because I don't want to see him angry." No, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, doesn't give a shit about that. It's going to let you cry your eyes out, and it's going to expect you to pick yourself up and do what needs to be done. It's it's going to let you freak out and flip out and pull out a machete and butcher a village. If that's, the universe is not going to intervene because it doesn't want you to be angry or upset or sad. It doesn't, that's not how it works. Reality is created subconsciously, I believe, but personally, I believe reality is created by a part of your mind that most people don't even know it's there. So, you can read these books, the Secret or whatever. I, I don't know much about manipulating reality with your own thoughts. I don't. What I do know is that whatever happens in my life, I am not gonna freak out and get all angry at God and try to blame God. Although there's plenty of times still to this day where I'm like, it still happens, but I catch myself and I don't go into like a rage or a fit. Um, I'm not, whatever happens, I'm not gonna freak out and turn violent or do anything stupid. I'm not gonna cry and live in pity. None of that's gonna happen. What's gonna happen is whatever happens, I'm gonna handle it like a man, even if it causes my death. If it's some confrontation, I don't. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But there's a saying in the book Hagakure, which is like a samurai book. It says the way of the samurai is found in death. Now, what that means is that the way of the samurai is to accept whatever outcome and handle it to the best of your ability with stoicism and strength. You're not going to let it break you. That's the way of the samurai. Now, these people are walking into life and death duels. You know what I mean? So, the way of the samurai is found in death. That doesn't mean you just rush towards the worst case scenario and get it out of the way. What it means is that you accept that that might happen, and you accept the fact that if it does happen, You're gonna make your way through it. You're gonna be all right, and you know, you'll get to the other side of it a better person. That's the way of the samurai. You accept whatever is gonna come, and you handle it with dignity and pride and strength, and you are brave, and you handle it with strength. And that's that. Whatever happens, your girl's gonna dump you. You're gonna take it like a man. You're gonna get evicted. You're gonna take it like a man. Whatever it is, you're gonna lose all your possessions. You're gonna take it like a man. You're gonna build back up. You're gonna become better from it. Possessions are easily replaced. I've lost everything more than once. Do I want to lose everything again? No, because now I've acquired things that are really useful. After losing everything multiple times, you tend to figure out real quick the things that you need and the things that you don't. And so, the possessions I have now that are most important to me are my generators and solar panels because I can put them in a car to live out of the car, my sleeping bag because it keeps me from freezing to death, my clothes. These are the important things. Real simple. A good knife to cut your food, to cut, utility. Tools are always good, but they're also heavy. Sometimes you can't be carrying around. I carry around a lot of tools because I like to work with my hands. Anyway, so whatever's going to happen, and here's the other thing. A lot of people are so afraid of whatever's coming. They don't even realize that the life they're living is making them miserable. They're living in fear. They're you know they're living under this constant threat of poverty and eviction and homelessness. And what they don't realize is that the the, the way they're living, that they're so afraid to lose, it's no good anyway. Losing it would be a blessing. You know what I'm saying? It's being homeless ain't easy, but it ain't that fucking hardy. You know what I mean? So, um, if you're facing eviction or whatever, take it like a samurai. The way of the samurai is found in death. Don't let these little rat motherfuckers, these little bureaucrats and bureaucracies, and you know this endless sea of bureaucracy. Don't bow down to these motherfuckers. I don't. I'm like, you threaten to take my shit? Go ahead. I'm gonna be all right. And you better pray. Just pray I don't get an opportunity for revenge because when it comes down to it, I'm gonna eat you alive. You know what I mean? Because I've been through all this shit and you ain't been through shit. And you're a bunny rabbit and I'm a wolf. And you can play your little bureaucrat game and steal my shit and do whatever, but when all's said and done, God likes me better than God likes you. Because I didn't break character. I didn't turn psychotic and snatch you by your throat and smash your head through a wall. I didn't sit there and cry and beg and plead. I said, "All right, this is what it is, and that's fine. And I'm going to live through it, and I'm going to be a better, stronger, wiser person on the other side of it. What I'm not going to do is beg and plead or act a fool." So, whatever it is you're afraid of, accept in your mind that if it happens, you're not going to let it break you because all suffering is temporary. Everything. Look, if you're willing to accept the help on the street and stuff, you'll be off the street in no time. You'll get back up on your feet in no time. Most people are clinging to what's that line in Fight Club? What you own ends up owning you. A lot of people are clinging to this little apartment full of possessions. What they don't realize is that if you lost it, you'd replace it real quick with better shit, even. It's like what you're afraid to lose your job. You know what? If you lost it, you could get another one. You know what I mean? Um, there's a million ways to make money nowadays. There's a million different things you can do. And here's the other thing that drives me nuts. A lot of people think, "Oh, I'm mentally ill." No, you're living with a proverbial gun to your head your whole life. If you don't do this, we're going to take everything from you. The police are going to come and they're going to kick you out of your apartment. I remember when I did get evicted, the first time I got evicted, uh, it took them like 5 months and they don't care. A place I had been paying rent on time for 5 years or something. I don't know, long time. They didn't give a shit. 5 days past the due date, they were starting the eviction process. It ended up taking them, I think, 4 or 5 months for the eviction process to go through. They got to go through the court and all that. But I remember one day I'm sitting in my apartment. I ain't feeling too good. I know I'm getting evicted, and I'm upset. I'm scared, and you know what I mean. At this point I was getting past the fear. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, one morning, I know I got to leave in like a month or two. I get this hammering on my door as if the SWAT team is there. And I come to the door half scared and half ready to kill someone. I was fucking pissed. It's a cop telling me, you know, I think it was maybe the 30-day notice or something. But the way they did it, I'm telling you, if this happened a couple thousand years ago with my personality, if someone came to my place in that threatening manner, I would have ended him right then and there. You know what I mean? But in this modern society, we have to just accept this. It's abuse, in my opinion. Um, even though he was just doing his job, I took it very personally. You know what I mean? Um, if you put me and that man in a room, I'd be the one leaving that room. I don't care what training. I don't care what he knows, what he does. The way I felt, I would have ripped him to pieces with my bare hands. And I mean that literally. I would have taken him apart. That's how upset I was. Because on top of them just kicking me out of my place, which ain't nobody got no right to take me out of my home, really. In under God's laws, under natural laws, nobody has a right. Nobody has a right to be charging you these ridiculous amounts of rent that are impossible to pay. And then when you don't pay it, they take what you have. It ain't right. Like God ain't with it. But people are going to do what they're going to do. But I can tell you one thing: they do pay a price for it. Here's the thing: where does um where does strength come from? You know where it comes from? It comes from following God's laws and doing what's right. Because deep down, you know what you do deserve or what you don't deserve. And so, where does self-respect come from? It comes from when no one else is around and you still do what's right. This is where self-respect comes from because you know when people come and try to abuse you and you got self-respect, you know you deserve better and you're not going to accept it. And I'm a little skinny motherfucker. I'm not a big dude. I'm not an intimidating dude. But I do have a lot of self-respect and I do have a lot of inner strength or whatever. Where it comes from is from doing what's right, even if it costed me. I answer to God. I don't answer to people. So when I got some motherfucker in front of me, and I can sense that he doesn't do what's right, and he just does, what I'm like. I feel like I'm made of iron, and he's made of wood, and I'm gonna go right through him. That's how I feel. But I don't just. But this is the price they pay. They pay in there's a line in one of these old Clint Eastwood flicks where I think it's a western, but it's a weird one because I think he's like a ghost coming back for revenge on this town full of messed up people. And so at one point he says these people are afraid. The reason they're afraid is because of what they've done. They know that they've got some, you know, punishment coming or they've done wrong and they know. So you see these people on the street accepting all this abuse and it's really I don't like to see it. I feel bad for them. But I'm not Batman. I'm not jumping in on every little conflict and confrontation I see, but I see people out there. I haven't been on the street in a while. But there's a lot of people out on the street where I can tell they've done a lot of wrong. They've stolen a lot. They've screwed a lot of people over. They've done a lot of sneaky, not so good things. And so they accept abuse from others because deep down they feel subconsciously that they deserve it. Now, I'm the opposite of that. Subconsciously, I feel I deserve absolute respect. So when people come at me sideways or come at me wrong, my reaction is confrontation, but theirs is to cow, you know, and be cowed and be afraid because deep down they feel they deserve it. This is so if you want the self-respect and the inner strength, do what's right and you'll have it. And I'm telling you, it's not even a conscious thing. I've been tried by people on the street for no reason at all. You know what I mean? No reason. And I don't, it ain't happening with me. Bigger people, way bigger people than me. But they can look me in my eyes and tell, like, this is going to be a rough one. Do I really want to deal with this right now? No. 9 times out of 10, they don't want to deal with it because they're bringing conflict to me for no reason, and I got a lot of self-respect, and I'm willing to fucking die right then and there if that's what it takes to not. It's not even a conscious thing. It's like I've been through too much in my life, and I'm not having it from you, bro. Like, who do you think you are, motherfucker? Like, this is all happening subconsciously in my mind, but what's happening in my mind that I can notice is when I catch him, he's going to be unconscious. And I'm talking people way bigger than me. I've gotten into it with people way bigger than me. And I've even said to him, he was trying to talk tough and be intimidating. I said, bro, look me in my eyes. Do you see any fear? And he was like, his whole tone shifted. At that point, he's like, well, no, I'm just saying, you can't just go around insulting. I'm like, you started with me, bro. Now, if you want to keep going, we can do that. And basically, I left it up to him, and he decided this ain't worth my time. On paper, he should have killed me. He was like 200 something pounds. I'm like 150. But I I wanted not only like I wanted to get my hands on him. It wasn't, oh, hopefully I do okay. I was just like, as soon as this goes off, you're gonna be in shock when my hand hits your chin, bro. You're gonna be shocked at how hard that fucking impact is. That's what I was thinking. And I was also thinking, this fat motherfucker is not gonna be able to hit me. That I could sit in front of him for an hour. He's not gonna be able to land anything, you know? So I was thinking to myself, you're done, buddy. Yeah, here's your chance to get out of it, but if you keep pushing this issue, I'm gonna make an asshole out of you in front of everyone on the street. You know what I mean? So, and that comes from doing what's right and having self-respect. Anyways, I hate making videos where I talk like that, but a lot there's a lot of people out there who need to stop being so timid and stop being so afraid and stop living in fear. Y'all got to tighten up, bro. I understand it. It's all happening subconsciously. You know what I mean? They've got you subconsciously defeated. So, all right, this video is getting long. So, anyways, let me see if this video makes sense. But here's the main point. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing worse than living in fear. Do you want to keep living in fear? You know, that's a worse what do you call it? Way of life than just, and I'm not saying go be homeless. What I am saying is accept the fact that whatever it is you're afraid of, maybe it'll happen. What's good and what's not going to happen is you're not going to be broken by it. You're not going to be afraid of it. You're going to take it like a man. You're going to stand up to it, and you're going to walk right through it. Now, it might not be easy. It might be easier than you think. You don't, but my point is don't let it break you. It's up to you. If you let yourself be broken and destroyed and crying and frightened or acting a fool with violence, and if you let that happen, it's because you let it happen. It's up to you. You don't gotta let yourself be broken down. So, anyways, let me watch this video, see if it makes sense. I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for the subs, the likes, the comments, the tips. Thanks for the Patreons, especially. Uh, and if you really want to understand the underlying realities of our society, go on my Patreon. I believe it'll help you a lot. Uh, I wouldn't put my name on it if it wasn't good. So I feel it's a real positive thing in my opinion. So, anyways, appreciate every single one of you. Be tough, bro. Be brave. Be strong. Uh, One last thing, courage and stupidity go hand in hand. So sometimes you got to be a little stupid. Don't be a lot stupid, maybe a little here and there. Ain't gonna hurt you. A little bit of adventure. Stupid people have all kinds of adventures. So, all right, I guess that's it. Appreciate you. I'll see you on the next one. Everybody have a good one.